Hi students, yesterday we have dealt with Industrial Revolution and we have seen the Industrial Revolution started in England or Britain, and we were speaking why it has started in Britain. The reasons for the Industrial Revolution that happened in England was, first of all, their climate. Second one is availability of raw material, and third one was the availability of capital and also the availability of labor. The reasons for the climatic conditions, raw material, capital and labor we have discussed. Now, what are the importance of technological developments? And here we have 3 points already in the heading. You can see there: technological developments, coal and iron, spinning and weaving, transport. These are the 3 issues that we will be discussing in this lesson. So iron and steel are vital for industrialization, and coal is essential not only to generate power but also for making steel. So these were available in England. So England was fortunate that coal and iron ore, the staple materials required for mechanization, were available in large quantity. Even other minerals like lead, copper, tin that were used in the industries were also easily available in England. However, until the 18th century, usable iron was not easily available. Iron is extracted as pure liquid metal from the ore by a process called smelting. For centuries, charcoal, that is from the burned timber, was used for smelting process. This had several problems. It was difficult to transport charcoal across long distances because it was too fragile. It will be made dusty. Second one was, due to impurities in it could not generate high temperatures. Hence the quality of iron produced was very poor. And the third one was, charcoal was produced by burning trees in the forest. As the forest area got reduced, the supply of charcoal also got reduced. Then you can see the picture there, the cast iron bridge near Colebrook, designed by the Third Derby. We will see about the Third Derby afterwards. Then British iron smelters built upon a long tradition of metallurgy practice all over the world, especially that in India. As you may know, Indian iron smelters produce some of the finest quality steel in those days. Now, even though India is not a very big industrialized country, in the 16th, 17th centuries, we were very good in making iron. Far better iron was prepared here in India. And after a long study and experimentation, a solution of the problem of steel making was developed by the family of ironmasters, the Derbys of Shropshire. They were the people who made lot of iron there in England. Within a half century, 3 generations of their family, grandfather, father and son, all called Abraham Derby, brought a revolution in the metallurgical industry. In 1709, the first Abraham Derby, that is 1677 to 1777, invented a blast furnace that would use coke, which could generate high temperature. So in the beginning it was not able to produce much heat, but here the temperature was available. Coke was derived from coal by removing the sulfur and impurities. This invention meant that furnace no longer had to depend on charcoal only. The melted iron that came from these furnaces permitted finer and larger castings than before. Then the second derby, the process was further refined by more inventions. He developed wrought iron, which was less brittle than pig iron. Henry Cort in 1740 to 1723 designed the pudding furnace in which impurities would be removed from molten iron, and a rolling mill which used steam power to roll purified iron into bars. It now became possible to produce a large range of iron products. Since iron was durable, it was better material than wood for everyday items and for machinery. Unlike wood, which could burn or splinter, the physical and chemical properties of iron could be controlled. Britain was lucky that it had excellent coking coal and high grade of iron ore available in the same basins or even the same seams. These basins were also close to ports. There are 5 coastal coalfields which could deliver their products almost straight into ships. As a result, shipbuilding and the shipping trade increased. The British iron industry increased its output 4 times between 1800 and 1830. Within 30 years, the British iron industry the output has become 4 times more than what they have produced before 1800. And its product was the cheapest in Europe. In 1820, a ton of pig iron needed 8 tons of coal. But in 1850, it could be produced by using only 2 tons. So by 1848, Britain was smelting more iron than the rest of the world put together. So a lot of iron is being produced there in England, and it is almost half of the production that was done all over the world. So this quality steel and iron which was available in England helped the industrialization process very fast in England. So mining of iron and coal received very good importance or equal importance in England. Then the industrial centers were reduced near to iron and coal mines because they were near to, and that was most important for the industrialization purpose. Now we come to the next developed area of industrialization in England. First it was iron and coal. Now we can say that it was cotton spinning and weaving. So the British had always woven cloth out of wool and flax to make linen. Since the 17th century, the country had been importing bales of cotton from India at high cost. The East India Company's political control in parts of India was established. It began to import raw cotton along with cloth. This raw cotton could be spun and woven into cloth in England itself. So, because of the colonization of India, Britain could get a lot of cotton which was produced here in India, and the East India Company helped the Indians to change the food grains into commercial grains, commercial products, and that is cotton. And the cotton that is produced here was brought by the British for cheaper rates, and this was taken to England where they could use it for spinning into cloth. So, as we know, in the early 18th century, spinning had been so slow and laborious that a single weaver could work on the yarn produced by 10 spinners. So, maybe one sari, for example, can be produced in 1 week by a weaver. But in the spinning mill, it can be 10 sarees within 24 hours or more than that. So therefore, while the spinners were busy spinning all the day, weavers waited idly for the yarn, so they could not get enough. But with the new technology inventions, the time gap was reduced between spinning of raw cotton into yarn or thread and the weaving of yarn into fabric. These industries were heavily dependent on the work of women and children in factories. To make it even more efficient, production was gradually shifted from the homes of spinners and weavers to factories. From 1780 to 80s, the cotton industry symbolized British industrialization in many ways. First it was coal and iron. Now it was cotton industry. This industry or the cotton industry had two features which were also seen in other industries. Raw cotton was entirely imported and a large part of finished cloth was exported to other countries. Britain had its control over the sources of raw material or raw cotton as well as the markets where they sold cloth. This helped to increase the control over the colonies. So the production of the cloth, that is using the raw material from the colonies and selling the cloths in that colonies, the margin between them was so high and it has become one of the most important source of income for the Britain. So you can see the map there. You can see up there Scotland and all that dots they are the centers of cotton textile manufacturing areas. On the top you can see Glasgow, then down there you can see Newcastle, then Yorkshire, Lancashire, then Leeds, Manchester, Nottingham, Leicester, Birmingham, then that part is known as England. Now the side that you can call known as Wales. And in London also there were a lot of cloth production centers. So these are the areas of cotton industries in England. Now in Britain. Now we can see the third one is that of steam power. First one was coal and iron. Second one was cotton industry. And third was the invention of steam power. James Watt prepared the first steam engine. You can see the picture that he has invented. You can see James Watt's steam engine is given there. So steam power was first used in mining industries. As the demand for coal and metals increased, people made more efforts to obtain them from deeper mines. Flooding in mines was a serious problem and steam engines were used to drain the water from the mines. But the technology was still not useful on a large scale. In 1736 to 1819, when James Watt was born, he invented a new steam engine. This invention converted the steam engine from a mere pump into a prime mover. He made the steam engine capable of providing energy to power machines in factories. With the help of the wealthy manufacturer Mathew Bolton, Watt created a Soho foundry in Birmingham in 1775. At the foundry, James Watt steam engines were produced in growing numbers. By the end of the 18th century, Watt's steam engine was beginning to replace hydraulic power. In 1840, British steam engines were generating more than 70% of all European power. So, these are some of the reasons for the development of industry there in England. First, we have seen iron and coal, availability of iron and coal, Second one, we have seen the cotton industry. Now we have seen the the steam engine. So another development that happened in Britain at that time was transportation. So because of the growing industrialization, there was need to transport raw materials and manufactured products. For this, the roads were improved and the digging of canals was done in England. Mac Adam devised the method of making pakka or macadamized roads. So, canals were initially built to transport coal to cities. This was because coal was very heavy and required in large quantities. So a transport by road was much slower and more expensive than boats on canal. The demand for coal and industrial energy and for heating and lighting homes in cities was increasing. The first English canal, the Worsley Canal, was built by James Brindley. It was built to carry coal from the coal deposits of Worsley near Manchester to that city. After the canal was completed, the price of coal fell by half. Thousands of kilometers of canal were built by 1830 and were used to transport commodities cheaply. They were mostly built by landowners to increase the value of their properties. Then the first locomotive, that is Stephen's rocket, was made in 1814. Railways was the new means of transportation that was available throughout the year. It was both cheap and fast, and it could carry passengers and goods also. They combined two inventions, the iron track replaced and the wooden track in the 1760s, and power of the steam engine. The invention of railways took the process of industrialization to its second stage. The first railway line connected to cities of Stockton and Darlington in 1825, a distance of 9 miles that was completed in 2 hours at the speed of up to 5 mph. The next railway line connected Liverpool and Manchester in 1830. Within 20 years, trains had started moving at the speed of 30 to 50 miles an hour. In 1930s, the use of canals revealed several problems. Too many large ships made the movement of canals very slow. Then another problem was if there was frost, flood or drought in the canal, the ships could not use it. So we have to see who were the inventors of that time. So see, the interesting we can read about the individuals who brought these changes during the industrialization. So some of them were trained scientists. Education in basic science like physics and chemistry was extremely limited until the late 19th century, even after the technological invention described the above. Since this invention did not require a full knowledge of the laws of physics and chemistry on which they were based, advances in science could be and were made by brilliant intuitive thinkers and experimenters. So in the present age also, I would like that we have to be brilliant, intuitive thinkers, and experiments should be done where we are lacking a lot. So social studies is telling you that if you have to develop the world, the scientific knowledge should be developed in us. Physics, chemistry and other subjects should be learned by us very well, and also mathematics. These will be helping, or they were helped by the fact that England had certain features which other European countries did not have. Dozens of scientific journals and published papers of scientific societies appeared in England between 1760 and 1800. Unfortunate thing that I have to say here is, we don't have any habit of reading any book at all. And if you are reading, new things, new ideas will come up, new thinking will come up, and that will be developing our country. Why are we learning about industrialization? What happened in England some 200 years back or 300 years back? How it happened? The necessity has made everyone to think about it. So now whatever necessity is there in front of us, with that we have to think. Just one or two subjects is not the basis of everything. We have to have a wide knowledge. We have to have wide reading, a kind of intuitive thinking, a brilliant way of understanding things are required. So and at that time, there was a widespread thirst for knowledge even in the smaller towns. So that is what is required now also. A thirst for knowledge which will make our country develop. This was met by the activities of Society of Arts, which was founded in 1754 by traveling lecturers or in coffee houses that multiplied through the 18th century. Then most inventions happen because of determination, interest, curiosity, even luck, rather than the application of scientific knowledge. Some inventors in the cotton industry like John Kay and James Harvey's were familiar with the skills of weaving and carpentry. Richard Arkwright, however, was a barber and a wig maker. Samuel Crompton was not technically skilled, and Edmund Cartwright studied literature, medicine and agriculture. Initially he wished to become a clergyman and knew little of mechanics. So all these people are the inventors of that time. By contrast, in the area of steam engines, Thomas Savery, an army officer, Thomas Newcomen, a blacksmith and a locksmith, and James Watt with a strong mechanical bent, all had some knowledge relevant to their inventions. The road builder John Mathew, who personally surveyed surfaces for the roads and planned them, was actually a blind person. The canal builder James Bridley was almost illiterate, with such poor spelling that he could never spell the word navigation, and he made the navigation industry of England. But he had tremendous powers of memory, imagination and concentration. So even though it is social studies class, this particular passage I like very much because it's giving you a lot of intuitive knowledge and what is required, what kind of determination that we should have, the interest we should have, the curiosity, sometimes even luck may be required. And we have to improve our powers of memory, imagination and concentration. Those who are able to have this memory, imagination and concentration can develop our nation also. So we will continue with the industrial development of India in the next, industrialization in the next class.